Hey, third graders, it's Mrs. Linderman. We are going to be starting a new writing unit today. It's informational writing, and we're going to do something a little bit different. We're still going to use our power organizer that you've been used to using to organize our thoughts, but this time we're going to share our information in a different way, more like a report, a visual report, a presentation. We'll talk more about that as time goes along, but let's just talk first. What is an informational report, right? It's when you're an expert sharing about some facts and it's about a specific topic. So, for example, this one says a report about dolphins, maybe a report about George Washington, or even a report about something like the rock cycle or the life cycle of an animal. This time, we're all going to research the same topic, so you're not going to have to think too hard about what you're going to research as far as the big idea, but you will have to do some thinking a little bit later today. Okay, so you're going to be researching an animal of your choosing, and I'm going to challenge you to pick something, some kind of an animal that you're interested in and would like to know more about, but maybe it's not something that you know a lot about already. So don't pick your favorite animal that you already know a lot about, right? You're going to get to do some research and learn some new things and new facts about a new animal that I want you to challenge yourself to learn about. I'm going to share some websites with you over the next week or so that you'll be able to use to find that information that you need. All right. You're going to also have some very specific information that you're going to need to look up, things like habitat and diet. Okay, some other information like that. That's when we'll use our power organizer to kind of come together with those subtopics, and I'll explain more about that later on in the week. All right, let's talk about animals for just a second, because animals are in 5 different groups, right? Probably remember, you remember some of this from probably second grade. So let's look. Mammals. Mammals are those warm-blooded animals. They have a backbone. They are fed with their mother's milk, and they've got skin and hair. Examples of like a bear or a mouse or even a dog, right? Humans are also mammals, but you're not going to research a human, right? The other animal groups, birds. Okay, you know what a bird is, but specifically, it's an animal that lays eggs and it has wings and its body is covered with feathers. So, some specific types of birds. Robin, that's Michigan's state bird. There's something called a kingfisher. There are falcons, a duck, and even a flamingo is an example of a bird. You might be interested in fish, okay, an animal that lives and breathes in the water. And all fish are vertebrates, which mean they all have a backbone. Okay, most of them breathe through gills and they have fins and scales. So, some specific fish that I listed for you might be trout or bass or salmon. You might be interested in researching some kind of fish. Maybe you like reptiles. Okay, what is a reptile? It's a cold blooded animal that breathes air, and it usually has skin covered with scales or bony plates. So, some examples are snakes, my least favorite, lizards, turtles, alligators. And then there are the amphibians, that's the 5th group. Okay, and they are cold blooded as well, and they have gills and live in the water as larvae. So, when they're teeny tiny, right, and they breathe air as an adult. So, amphibians are also vertebrates, which means they have a backbone. So, some examples of those are frogs and turtles, even a salamander. So, there's some really interesting amphibians that you could research. All right, so those are the animal groups. Don't just think of, right, the furry animals that you're used to. There's a lot of other things that you can research. Okay, we're going to look at some examples of what these informational presentations might look like. Yours does not have to look like this, but we're going to have some different technology that we're going to be able to use, okay, so that you can create some new things. So let's look at these, and I want you to look at them as an artist because they're very visual, and I want you to also look at them with a writer's eye. Let's see some things that you notice. Okay, look at this one. This is a presentation on the African elephant. What are some things you notice? It's nice and colorful, right? It's got lots of information, but information is shown in a very different way, very visual. If you notice in the bottom left down here, this talks about how much water an elephant drinks in a day. So they give you a visual so you can actually see, right, what they're talking about. It's not just in words. This middle one here shows how fast they can run. Okay, if you can see right up here in the top, this is where African elephants are found. They're found in 37 countries in the continent of Africa. And you can see in white, there's a picture of Africa there. There's a lot of other information that's shared on this presentation. So maybe that's intriguing to you and you want to create something like that. Okay, let's take a look at the next one. This one's all about cats, right? Interesting facts about cats. So again, very visual. It's got lots of color, lots of pictures, right? Not just words, but different ways to share information. Did you know that an adult cat has 30 teeth? That's some information that's shared on there. Also, that cats shouldn't drink cow's milk because it's not good for them. Okay? So a lot of information about cats. And again, you will have specific information that you are sharing with your reader. I'm not sure what their teacher told them in their presentation, but you're going to have some very specific information that you're going to have to cover. All right, here's one on koalas. I like this one a lot. If you want to zoom in on the presentation when we're all done talking, you're going to be able to see that over here talks about diet, talks about predators, talks about habitat, where this animal lives, gives it the information in just a very different way than writing a paragraph. Okay? Here's one on giraffes that I really like because it looks like drawings, and I love how the illustrations look on this one. Okay, so some fun facts about giraffes. Here's some more that you might be used to, like a poster that you might have done in first grade or second grade. This one is talking about dangerous sharks and about the things that they do and what they look like. A lot of information. I can see that this writer has some labels right here, right? They have their shark drawn here, and then they've got kind of like a diagram with their labels, parts of their body, the dorsal fin, the skin, the mouth, okay, the tail fin, right? So other information. And then down here, it also looks like they've got a really interesting way to share some information as well. And then here's my last one. It's kind of hard to read, but it's about a velociraptor. Great picture there, right? Somebody drew that, and it's hard to read, but all of these little boxes have information. So this one's more like having paragraphs, right? Having lots of information written out compared to, right, the one maybe from the beginning of the African elephant, right? That information is still there. It's just shown and shared with us in a different way. So those are some examples, and we'll talk more as the weeks go on. But this is something we're going to start today, start thinking about. And we're going to be finished with this unit before we have spring break. So we have about, look at my calendar, about 4.5 weeks or so in the month of March that we're going to be in school. So we're going to make sure that this gets completed before we go on spring break to have that week off. All right. You've got two things you're going to have to do today. One is to start thinking about some animals you'd like to learn more about. I'll share, like I said, more directions on what you need to do in the future. But for right now, I want you to start thinking about 3 different animals that you would like to research. And the reason I say 3 is because sometimes a writer starts looking for information on a particular topic and they can't find enough to write anything. So they have to kind of abandon that original idea. And that might happen to you, right? If you're frustrated and you're like, I can't find anything about the habitat or anything about the diet, right? Or any fun facts, then maybe that's a clue to you that this isn't a good topic and you need to switch to something different, right? There is a link for World Book Kids that I want you to go to today. And it's got all kinds of information on all those different animals we talked about, mammals and amphibians, birds, right, reptiles. So you're going to go there, see if you can find some information or just at least different animals that you might be interested in researching. All right, try to, like I said, do something a little bit different than what you're used to. The other thing that you're going to do today is on Google Classroom, along with this video, is an assignment where you're going to learn about a new animal. That would be kind of fun to kind of explore this week and the next coming weeks on some different animals, rare animals that you may have never heard of, so that you can kind of learn about something new. All right, so I'm excited to read what you are going to research. It's going to be fun to see how much you can learn and all the new things you can share with everybody else.